The pen tool allows you to draw complex shapes in Flash. If you're familiar with the pen tool and other applications, you're in luck because it works in pretty much the same way. For example, Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop both use the pen tool, and all the keyboard shortcuts are the same as they are in Flash. And just know that it's in a flyout menu with some other tools like the Add Anchor Point tool, the Delete Anchor Point tool, and the Convert Anchor Point tool. So select the pen tool. The keyboard shortcut is P, so if you're an artist, you might like the pen tool, so you may want to memorize that. I'm going to use Merge Drawing for now, and then I'll have a stroke height of 1, and I'll just use a black stroke, and I'll begin drawing with the pen tool. For this scene I have on my stage, I'm going to add a cactus to the background. The pen tool can be used to just draw straight lines if you just click in different points. So if I click once, and then I move my mouse, and then click again, and as I keep clicking, I can draw different shapes. So I can draw a cactus made with straight lines, like so. And when you're done drawing a shape with the pen tool, if you hover your mouse over the first anchor point, your cursor will update to show a circle icon. That means if you click there, Flash will close out the path, so you'll have one continuous stroke. Let's say I wanted to create a cactus using curved lines. I'm going to undo the cactus I just created, and then we'll create a new one. If you click and drag when you're drawing points with the pen tool, you can use something called Bezier curves. Bezier curves use mathematics to create curved lines. So I'll click the bottom left, I'll move my cursor up a little bit, and then I'll click to the left and up and slowly drag my mouse up. You see the curve that's created. As I'm clicking and dragging, you'll see a line from my cursor down into the left or down into the right, depending on where your cursor is. It could be in a different spot. But you see that I have a straight line that's coming out of my cursor. And that line is used to create the direction of the Bezier curve. So I can click and drag to control how that works. So I'll get at a good angle for the arm of this cactus, and I'll let go of my mouse button. So I'll continue creating the arm, and notice the lines for the last Bezier curve are still there, and they're applying to this line that I'm creating. Now that's significant. I'll explain that in just a moment. So I'm going to create an arm that curves up and around here. So let's say you wanted to have only part of the Bezier curve apply. So let's say I only wanted it to apply to the line that I'm creating now and not the next line that I create. To do that, you can hold the Alt or Option key on your keyboard to adjust the line for the next curve that you draw. So I'll adjust my line like so, and then click and drag to draw the next Bezier curve. So I'll draw the point of the cactus. I'm not really worried about making this absolutely perfect right now. I'm actually going to go back and fine-tune it in just a minute. So I'm going to click and drag and continue to draw this cactus out. So let's say I want to adjust the top area of the cactus. Now I've already drawn the line, so what I can do is use the sub-selection tool. The keyboard shortcut for that is A. It's the white arrow right below the selection tool, and it allows you to select individual anchor points to modify them. So I can select the anchor point at the top left and adjust its Bezier curves. I can even hold the Alt or Option key to only adjust one half of the line for the curve. That looks a little bit better. I can also move the anchor point as well. So using the sub-selection tool, you can fine-tune the artwork that you create with the pen tool. Further, the pen tool has the other tools in its flyout menu, like the Add Anchor Point and Delete Anchor Point tool. So you can hover over the edge of a line that you created with the pen tool, and when you see the plus icon, you can click to add another anchor point to that line. You can edit that anchor point just like any other anchor point by using the sub-selection tool. You can also delete an anchor point by using the Delete Anchor Point tool. So I'll delete the anchor point that I just created. If you need to convert an anchor point from a straight angle to a curved angle, you can use the Convert Anchor Point tool. So I'll click and drag on an anchor point, and then I can add Bezier curves to it if I want to. I'll undo that change. And then just know that if you're using the pen tool and you don't switch to the Add or Remove Anchor Point tool, you can actually just hover over lines to add anchor points. you'll see that your cursor will update when you hover over a line. And when it updates, it'll have a little plus icon at the bottom right. Also, using the regular pen tool, if you hover over an anchor point, you'll see an angle icon at the bottom right of your cursor, which means you can click and drag that anchor point to convert the anchor point, just as if you were using the Convert Anchor Point tool. So again, you can use the pen tool to create complex artwork like this cactus that connects lines and can even use Bezier curves.